Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Max Potential Habits. This week, you're going to love this topic. You know how I always bring on mindset, money, manifestation, lots of coaches, lots of people that bring us tips on how to align ourselves and optimize internally so we can create what we want externally to have those optimized habits that help us thrive in life and business. This week, I have practical, actionable marketing tips for you coming from our expert guest, Jennifer Tamborski. She's a digital marketing strategist who works with coaches, consultants, and helps them create online courses, make huge impact in the world, helps them advertise digitally to grow their business. And if as a business owner, you know that lead generation can be a huge issue. I think it's the number one issue that most new businesses have, and not even new businesses, just businesses across the board. When you have the lead gen figured out, you're gold. So I wanted to bring her on to bring in some tips for you to help you. I love this title. She says, How to Date Your Ideal Clients, and foundations, funnels, and Facebook ads. So we're going to talk marketing, we're going to talk business strategy, and get to know Jennifer. And we're psyched you're here. So welcome to the show today, Jennifer.
Thanks so much for having me. I love talking marketing. And, I could talk all day on this topic because it is such an important part of business that often business owners put aside. They say things like, when I make XYZ, I'll start marketing. How are you going to make XYZ if people don't know you exist?
Yes. You're so right, because it's one of those things where you go like, oh, I'll build it and they'll come. Nope. You've got to let them know you're there. And
exactly.
One thing, people ask me often how I built my business so fast. And it was because when I started, I thought, I don't know anything about marketing. I'm going to have to learn everything I possibly can about marketing. And so I took it on as this, like, what are the hats that an entrepreneur wears? And to me, it's three hats. And one is you got to build expertise in your chosen area. You've got to learn business strategy and marketing. Like, marketing is absolutely essential. So I think that what you do in the world to help businesses grow through digital marketing is absolutely incredible. So it's so cool that you're here. Will you share a quote that you live by?
So I actually have two quotes I live by. Well-behaved women rarely make history.
Yeah.
And then the second is, do not go where the path may lead. Instead, go where there is no path and blaze. I edit that. It says leave a trail. I edit it to blaze a trail.
Nice.
Resonated.
Super pioneer power woman is what I'm getting out of those quotes. That's great. I love them. So good. Okay. Great. I always love, I love quotes. I'm a quote freak. And I've noticed, I just actually started doing in the last 3 months, a quote of the week for my people. And, it's on Instagram. If for those of you listening, if you don't know that I do this, it's actually on Instagram, LinkedIn every week. And I'm actually going to start I'm going to do it as an episode starting next year.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Just like a real short episode. And I just choose a quote and then, powerhouse a conversation around that quote, because there's so many good quotes in the world. So thanks for sharing that. First, I'd love to know, how long have you been in digital marketing and why? You started by saying that you love it, and I can tell, the conversations you and I've had, I know that you love it. So will you share how you got into that world and what inspires you about it?
So it was a long journey to getting into digital marketing. I started out as a virtual assistant really way before virtual assistants were even a thing. When my second one was born 15 years ago, I needed a job I could do from home. And what ended up happening through the course of my career was that I started working for marketers, because at the time the internet was still pretty young. Social media was in its infancy, and the marketers that were the ones that saw the potential. And so they were the ones that were hiring people that weren't in their office. They were hiring people virtually. And so that's where I ended up working, spending a lot of my time. And as the years went on and I saw like the growth and the expansion and the ability to impact and influence people in the most positive ways, it just really drew me to wanting to continue to do that. I want to help people. we primarily work with coaches for a reason. I believe they have an opportunity to transform the world. And I love being a part of that. And so, and I really, again, if nobody knows a coach is there, they absolutely cannot hire them.
Yeah.
So my, zone of genius is helping them get out there.
Yeah. This is such a powerful, important moment for people to recognize. You could have the best information in the universe, like you could just have gold, but if no one knows you exist, then you can never get your message out there. And so it's something I've learned over the years, a couple of years of my business, is I go like, oh, if I want to expand to the 7-figure level, so getting to the 6-figure level, I think it's possible to do.
Yeah, you can hustle to the 6-figure level.
Totally.
That is absolutely possible.
Yes. Getting to the 7-figure level without having a marketing strategy, I think would be a lot harder.
It is still possible. I have a client that actually hit 7 figures hustling and doing it outside of the digital world. But moving beyond that, for whoever you are, there comes a point in your business where you get stuck at that level.
Yeah.
That's when you're not attracting the right people. You're not meeting the right people. One of the reasons I call it dating is that same kind of idea, right? We've all been there where you're searching for that perfect person, and you're going to all of the places, right? You're going to church, you're going to, the grocery store, you're going to wherever, all of those places, or a bar.
Match.com.
That's the step into digital marketing.
Yeah.
Match.com, all of those online dating apps, because it gets you out there into a wider audience.
Right. And more targeted, right?
Exactly.
I love that you say this, because I just started doing Match.com dating. This will be released way past when this happened. But for me, same thing. I was like, okay, well, it's COVID. Usually I have a really easy time meeting people, but it's COVID. So I don't have a lot of exposure of myself, let's say. So I'm like, oh, Match.com, let's try and see what happens. And it was like, oh my God, there's a whole world of people out there to date. How fun is this?
Not only is there a whole world of people out there, because you can target them specifically, you're meeting the right people rather than walking into a bar going,
yes,
I don't know.
Totally. I love that. That's such a great analogy, and it's so true. So, for those of you listening, if you're feeling like you're not attracting the right people into your business and you think that there's not a wide enough net, digital world is huge. You have a global audience when you start marketing and targeting the right people. So will you say a little bit about how to date your ideal client?
Yeah. So we correlate it right back into relationships, because business is all about relationships. So just like in the real world, we step into that introduction phase. So like you did Match.com, that's your first introduction into new people, right? And then you're building out a sales funnel. And if you look at a sales funnel in the same way you do dating, you have your introduction phase, then you move to that flirting phase. On Match.com, it's when you guys are just emailing back and forth, right? We move into the dating phase, which is when people actually convert onto your email list and you start having actual real conversations with them. I always correlate that lead magnet, that free or micro offer kind of thing, to having coffee with somebody. It's really low risk for them to step into your world, because like going from 0 to, which is the commitment phase, to purchase is kind of like walking up to somebody in a bar and asking them to marry you. Kind of, not only is it not going to work, but it's also a little creepy.
Yeah.
So, so if you kind of look at a sales funnel and at digital marketing in the same way you would dating, that there are steps to warm them up, to make them feel like they have a relationship with you, just like you would going from introduction to commitment, whatever that commitment looks like for you in a life partner.
Yeah, it's such a valuable analogy, because I'm curious, what it made me think of is like the warming up phase, because, to get their email is one thing, to get their email, then have them buy something from you, another thing. And then to have them, pay for either like, a high dollar course or one-on-one coaching, then, you're walking them through those steps. And I know here we have a lot of different types of businesses. Maybe you're in real estate or network marketing or, other forms, but it's the same process. It's warming people up, getting them to know, like, love, trust you, so that then they can take the next step forward, whatever that is. So will you talk a little bit about what some of those low level steps are, like trust triggers to get people warmed up to you?
Well, there are things as simple as a podcast, right? That's a free offer to people, and it gets them to start building a relationship with you. Those people that are listening to your podcast every day, when you reach out to them, and I often tell my clients that have a podcast to put some kind of free offer to get people on your email list from your podcast.
Yeah.
Because what it then ends up as, they're already being nurtured by this podcast. They're listening to you weekly, daily, whatever, however often you're doing your podcast, and they have a connection with you. So when you have an offer to offer them, they're more likely to step into the offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. So will you give us some other strategies? Like, so there's podcasts, which is a free offer, but then again, it's the free PR, but then you want to get them into your email by offering something to take them off that platform into your circle, inner circle.
The best thing, I mean, you can do Facebook Lives as a free, kind of thing. All of that, it's really giving them content, giving them value. Here's the reality about podcasts and about Facebook and about LinkedIn and all of them. They are amazing platforms to connect with your audience. However, you have no control over them.
Yeah.
So if any of them shut down, you lose your audience. If you can get them onto your email list, you have the ability to control how you talk to them, how you communicate with them. And if Facebook shut down tomorrow, you would still have the ability to continue to connect with them.
Yeah. That's really important. It's last week I had, I don't know exactly why, but all of a sudden Instagram locked me out and was like, we don't like you anymore. And I was like, oh crap. I've never had the thought like I could lose Instagram, and I've put so much time, energy, and money into it. I don't even have a big following at all. I have like a couple thousand followers, but they're high quality followers who love me and I love them, and we're like a tribe. And I go, oh my God, like I don't have all those people's emails. So like if I lost them, I was even in conversation in the DMs and I was like, I don't know those people's names or emails.
Yeah, you don't have a list. I mean, they're in your DM. You don't make a separate list.
Like I can't even contact them to let them know why I dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I encourage every client I have to have some kind of free offer, whether that's a free 8-minute training video. And I say specifically 8 minutes because right after 8 minutes, people stop paying attention. So
yeah, good. That's why isn't your show is your show short? I can't remember.
Yeah, my show's 20 minutes long.
It's 20. Okay.
Generally that's about how long I keep the show to, because again, you lose people's connection, you lose their attention.
Yeah.
But specifically online, when you're offering some kind of free lead magnet, 8 minutes is really where they're like gone.
Okay.
So, or you could have an ebook, or you could have a workbook or a worksheet, or depending on what it is you do, if you're a finance coach and you have a spreadsheet to help them with their budget, or, whatever it is you do, find something that's very specific to what it is your clients. Here's the key: what it is they think they need.
Yeah.
Because you have to give them what they want in order to give them what it is they actually need.
Yeah. Everyone needs to hear that. It's one of the most golden gems of wisdom I've gotten in marketing, is that people buy what they want, not what they need. So it's funny because in habits, it's like people need to fix their habits, but what they want is to feel good in life. Mm-hmm. That's why we change our habits, right? Yeah. So it's like, okay, we're bringing everything to the table to help you optimize your habits because you want to thrive in your life and your business.
Yeah.
So it's like planting that seed constantly of going like, okay, what do people really want? They want to feel better. They want more money. They want better relationships. They want to feel freedom and purpose. So you're marketing to that want versus the need, which might be like, oh, you really, really need to revamp your diet to feel good, which most
Absolutely.
people don't want to do.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
just in my own marketing, I offer a quiz because people want to use Facebook ads and they may not be ready for them yet, because there is a point where you're ready for going to that next level and you have to have things in place
Yeah.
in order to do it.
Yeah.
And so they want Facebook ads, but what they really need is a whole strategy. Right?
Uh-huh.
That's where people come to me so often. They're like, I just want to run Facebook ads. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't have a strategy in place in order to run Facebook ads. So I draw them in with something simple that they understand, which is Facebook ads. And then I can teach them the strategies and steps that they actually need in place in order to make ads effective.
Okay, that's great. So because you just said, people aren't always like there's steps before the process of getting the Facebook ad. So it's what it comes to mind there is that it's mostly like people go, oh, I want Facebook ads because it's like a quick, in their mind, it's a quick, easy way to build my business. But if you don't have strategy behind it, it's not going to work.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly the point. Not only strategy, but you also have to have systems in place.
Okay.
If you want to run Facebook ads, you have to have some place to send them and a reason for them to give you their email address. If you don't have those systems in place and that follow-up system afterwards, if we go back to the dating analogy, right? The Facebook ad is the ad that they see on the platform is their introduction, right? The landing page then becomes that dating portion, right? Where they go from introduction to dating.
Yeah.
The piece that a lot of people miss is what I call the flirting stage, which are offering valuable content online, like a podcast or YouTube or Facebook Lives or whatever it is that your client connects with most, so that they can warm up in between.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. You've said this many times, and it makes so much sense when you apply the dating analogy because it's that warm up flirting period. Will you share, the transition from the flirting and the getting them into your fold through the email to then the first paid offering? What would you recommend there in terms of a paid offering? Is it like a really low price offer?
It all depends on what it is you're doing, right?
Okay.
That's all very dependent. Now, micro offers, which are very low introductory offers, are huge right now. They are selling like hotcakes online.
Yeah.
So having something that someone can spend $7, $17, I like sevens personally. Some people like nines, whatever. But
Yeah.
$17, $27, $37, something like that. Anything pretty much under $50 is considered a micro offer. Once someone starts spending money with you, they're more likely to continue spending money.
Yeah.
So getting them in the door with that low introductory offer helps speed up that dating phase, the warming up phase, and that kind of thing. So sometimes, and it all depends on the industry, because like the health industry, if you're looking at like a health coach or something like that, oftentimes there's a plethora of them out there that are offering free things. So if you're offering a micro offer, it's gonna need to be really, really cool in order for someone to pay for something that they could go to someone else for free.
For free. Yeah. Okay.
So it all just depends on what your business is, on whether or not that specific strategy will work.
Okay.
That being said, I like micro offers. I like people having to pay for your expertise, even if it's a small bite of your expertise. And then as you go along, the length of time always depends on what it is you're selling. If your program is, $5, $10, $15, $25,000, it's going to take a little longer to warm them up to you. You're going to have to provide them with some other value, get them on a phone call, do some kind of webinar that's really, pushes that, get them on a sales call, those kind of things.
Yeah.
If your offer is, under $1,000, you can easily go from that micro offer up to that $1,000 offer ish pretty quickly. You just accelerate them through your sales funnel.
Yeah. I love it. It's interesting because I have a whole bunch of funnels in the tests testing phases right now. And I noticed the micro offer is a really powerful way. And then I think back to when I've invested in coaches, it started with a micro offer. It's usually like a $19, 3-video course. And then I'm like, oh, I like the way you teach. I like what you're doing. And it reminds me, it's like you're going coffee to like, okay, now we kind of like each other. Let's go to like a happy hour date. Oh,
Exactly.
now dinner could work. Oh, now,
Exactly. You just move them along the
yeah,
dating process until they're ready for the big commitment,
yeah,
which is what we're all driving towards. How long that takes is dependent on your business and your audience. I
yeah.
have a client, one of my clients, who it took us about a year to figure out, but her sales cycle takes about 3 to 6 months. They have to be on our email list for 3 to 6 months before they're ready to buy. So now that we know that, we know what we can put into that sales cycle to start getting them ready to buy.
Yeah.
And right now we're looking at a micro offer, because one of the problems she was having was she'd have people come to her and they weren't ready. It's not that they weren't ready to buy. They totally wanted to buy her product, but they weren't ready for her product. And she wouldn't sell it to them because they weren't ready.
Gotcha.
And so now we're looking at a micro offer that can get them ready. Like there are
Okay.
things they need to do to get ready to purchase her bigger offer.
Yeah, that's great. So it's like you're priming your client and you're setting them up for success and leading them into the bigger offer. So you're
Absolutely.
planting those seeds along the way as you get them to whatever your biggest offer is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
because it is your biggest offer. You want to be as successful as humanly possible to your clientele. So if you know that they've done all the steps, that when they get into your big offer, they're going to be a success. That's really the goal of a funnel.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so much gold. I'm curious. Okay. Because for people listening, if they're thinking like, oh, I want to run Facebook ads, what are some of the things they need in place in order to do that? I know you've talked about it a little bit, but will you
Yeah.
give us some
So
really clear steps?
they need a landing page, right? You need some place for them to go to. So they need a landing page. They need some kind of offer, whatever that offer is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever if it's a micro offer or a freebie, whatever, they need to have that ready. Then the landing page will take you to a thank you page, which is where they'll get whatever it is that you have to offer them. And then you need an email sequence. You need a minimum of 5 to 7 emails to follow that offer so that you can either drive them to something, whatever your next step is. Sometimes it's a phone call. Sometimes it's, your group. I'm working with one client, a new client right now, and we're pretty much all of her offer drives them to her group, because that's where she's warming them up. That's where she's nurturing them. That's where she's giving them that piece of gold that makes them want to become a client.
Yeah.
So it's those are the kind of things that you have to have in place before you're ready to run your ads.
Okay.
Now, before you even do that, you need to know your ideal client. Know them. And when I say know them, I mean more than female, 27 years old, lives in Colorado. Like, you need to know all of their psychographics. So what their fears are, what their dreams are, who they listen to, who they like, all of those things that really make it so that when you talk to them, they can hear you.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Will you share? I use this term a lot, psychographics. Will you dig into that a little bit more? Because to me, that's been one of the most catalyzing effects of learning about the people I work with, where I go like, oh, things grow a lot faster when you know exactly what your people want, because you can create content directed at those people. You know exactly how to create your programs. Like when I'm creating an episode, I just know exactly who I'm talking to. So it's so easy to have people go like, oh my God, it feels like you're reading my mind. And it's because I am, like I know you, I know your pains, I know your loves, I know your fears, I know your wants, and it makes everything get easier. Can you just say a little bit more about that? Like, how do people discover those things?
Psychographics are like one of my favorite pieces of your ideal client profile. The best way to discover your psychographics is really talk to your clients. Pick your ideal clients, whoever they are, and start digging into what it is that they're struggling with, what their biggest fears are, what their pain points are, what their dreams are. Because sometimes the reality is people will pay to get out of hell. They won't pay to get into heaven. So you'll have to make sure that they recognize what it is that they're struggling with before you can offer them that. And that's something that I see often with people. They don't put in the pain points. They're like, I help you bliss, whatever bliss is.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't hearing the bliss because they don't know what it is they need to be in order to get to the bliss.
Yeah.
So yeah, making sure you really understand what their struggles, their fears, their wants, their desires, and they may all be different, and focus on one person, one ideal client. That is the biggest mistake people make, especially coaches, because they're so open and they have such open hearts and they want to help everyone. And the reality is when you talk to everyone, nobody listens.
Yeah.
So make sure you're really crystal clear on who it is you're talking to.
Yeah. Say a little more there, because I think that it is one of those, when you say the biggest mistakes, it's because it's such a hard one for people. So how can you help them in the mindset arena get over their fear of only helping one person, which isn't really one person, but it's like that one ideal niche?
Yeah. So here's the reality. When you really talk to that one person, like your ideal client, when you're really talking to them, those other people that you want to help, they're still hearing you.
Yeah.
They're still hearing your message. So you're still going to get people to come in. Like in my own business, my ideal client are coaches. But as I'm talking, real estate agents are coming to me, or, because marketing is marketing and it's the same type of idea. So you have other people that are still going to come.
Yeah.
But really understanding that one person and how you can help them.
Yeah.
Makes it so that your message is clear. And when your message is clear, then you're not confusing your audience. Because if you come in and say, I help this person. Oh, and I help this person. People are going, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who you help. They become confused.
Yeah.
Confused audiences never buy.
Yeah. Brilliant. So true. I love that you're giving information and tips and strategies and clarity around helping people get there faster, because these are things that business owners who are really driven will learn over time, but you can really shrink the gap of time by implementing what you're talking about. I mean, really, it's like things that I've learned through my time of building my business. I'm like, oh, niche down. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. I still attract clients across the board, but I'm speaking to a direct audience because it just makes the process so much faster and easier.
Yeah.
And then when things are easy for you as a business owner, it flows, it's more fun, it's more playful, you're getting faster results, which then increases your magnetic flow, which then reinforces that you're successful, you can do it. And it's just like a good system all the way around.
And quite honestly, the faster you can get to a specific point, right? 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever that point is, then you can once you've hit 7 figures, you can open up your market. You can start talking to 1 million people. But until you hit that 7-figure mark, just focus, become really laser focused on who it is that you serve.
Yeah. Great advice. Awesome. Okay. Will you say a little bit about, I'm thinking you were talking about foundations, funnels, and Facebook ads. So we've talked about funneling and the way that we warm people up. Mm-hmm. What other tips do you have in terms of mistakes that people make when they're building out funnels and stepping into Facebook ad world?
Sometimes they go too fast. Sometimes they don't. Like, one of the things that I talk to people often is proof of concept, which means you have a product you've successfully sold and people are getting results from it. Until you have that in place, you can spend a lot of money on Facebook or in funnels or all of those things that are not going to be effective, because you're testing a product, right? You're not actually. And when you hit a certain point in your business, it's okay to start testing other products. But when you're first starting out, your foundation really is having that very specific product, the one thing that you sell. All of the micro offers, all of the lead magnets, all of the things lead to this one thing. That's it. That's the only thing you sell. When you get to, again, usually about 7 figures-ish, you can start rotating out of that. But until then, just sell that one thing.
Ooh, this is interesting. It's funny because I'm of course looking at my business because I'm in between the 6 and 7 figure mark, and that's my next scale. And I go, oh, fascinating, because I offer multiple things, but I can see how it can be distracting. It's like you go, oh, well, what am I? It's almost that confusion piece. It's like too many offerings.
Too many options. It's like, have you ever gone to Amazon's page and they have all of those things on the front page, and you're like, never mind. And you go away because there's too many
Or
options.
you just type very specifically into the search, like, this is what I want. Yeah. Like,
exactly.
Don't get distracted.
This is the only thing I want. I don't want to see anything else.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I don't float around Amazon. There's too many options. I go in, I type what I want, I leave.
Yeah. You know what it's reminding me of, what you're saying is, it's like, it's shiny object syndrome within your own business.
Yes.
Like, you don't want to be inducing shiny object syndrome with your people that you're attracting your way.
Exactly.
So you want real clarity. I'm curious, do you think then, when people are creating that one signature product that they're leading people to, but they have the micro offers, those micro offers, like, as long as because I'm thinking about even my model, it's like I have a mindset church that's only $97 a month, and people get to try it for free. So that, in my mind, that's a micro offer to get them to my online course. And then that's also a micro offer to get them to my one-on-one coaching.
Yes.
So it's like,
as long as they facilitate and support each other, that's a funnel, right?
Okay.
You have multiple lower end offers that support them to get to your high end offer.
Gotcha.
What you don't want to do is have an offer for, let's say you do one-on-one coaching and group coaching and mastermind, and like, you just keep building out those things. And the problem is that people are like, I don't know if I need one-on-one coaching. Maybe I need group coaching. Once you've decided, you can change your model. Most coaches start with one-on-one coaching. And then as they fill up, they go to group coaching.
Yeah.
And you can change that model as your business grows, but you're still wanting to drive everything to whatever that one thing is. Once you hit $1 million and you've got, residual income coming from those micro offers and those courses and all of those kind of things, you can do whatever you want. But until you're getting to that point, you need to have something that's very strategic in walking them down a path to get to your big ticket.
Yeah. I love this. I don't remember where I heard it. It was some marketing, some webinar or something I was watching, and I really liked it. It's what you're saying. It was like this idea of like, you've got to first work with the one-to-one, and really what that gives you is the clarity of the client avatar. It gives you the languaging they use, the pain points, the struggles, so that then you can shift to the one to the few, and then the one to the many. And it's this, it's a similar, I think it's like that 6 to 7 figure or 8 figure approach, is that like, you've got to first like kind of get your fingers dirty and, like, dive in and understand what's going on with your community. And then it's also like, fastest path to cash in my mind is the one-on-one coaching, because you only need a few clients if you're charging the right amount. And if you're not charging the right amount, people need to contact me. That's something I help people with, is it's like, you're not valuing yourself enough. Most coaches that I see starting out have a really hard time charging what they're worth. Like, it's a real struggle for them at first, so it's like, you want to get an alignment there, and then you run out of time and you go, oh, I'm only me. And I've got to then shift to the, group model, and then like online courses, and then whatever bigger impact you want to make. What point would you say in that flow of the one-to-one, one-to-few, one-to-many is where people want to implement Facebook ads?
Honestly, you can implement it at any point. It really becomes a monetary investment at that point, right?
Okay.
So you need to be making somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 at minimum in your business before you start investing in ads, because not only are you paying for like me to run them, you pay for ads themselves. And so I have a lot of clients that have come in and they were at the one-to-one, and as they started growing and getting more clients through the ads, then they moved to the one to the few. So they changed their business models because they filled up. It really comes down to a point of understanding that your product works, that you understand who your ideal client is, and then you're ready to start bringing in more audience to you.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that. You just reminded me, I wanted to go back to, so for people who are kind of testing a product, it's interesting because we go like, well, you can't scale a product until you test the product, but how do you get the product to grow enough to test the product? It's like, what do you recommend people do there when they're testing a product? How do they test it to know that
So
it's,
it depends. Like if we're talking about a coaching industry, if we're talking about coaches specifically, and they're testing their program, whatever that is, and making
uh-huh.
tweaks along the way, network your butt off, bring in clients through networking, through the grinding, the, reaching out, organic traffic, all of those kind of things. Do that first. Have enough people in that you've served that you can show success with. And that enough is relative, right? If you have served 5 people and they have all double, triple, quadrupled their business or whatever it is that you do for them, that shows success in what you're doing. And then you can move on to starting to scale.
Okay.
But you have to have that basis. And the first thing you're doing is the hustle, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. It's interesting because, like right now online, we see like so many promotions for, create an online course overnight. I'm curious if you think that that can be successful. I have my thoughts on it that I can share, but I'm curious from your perspective, what you think about
Can
that.
can a DIY create your online course in 24 hours be successful? How successful have you been DIYing your stuff to this point? That's the question. If you are a successful business owner DIYing, yes, that course can be successful. However, if you have not successfully DIYed your whatever before then, and then you take this course, are you really going to implement whatever it is they say to do?
Mm-hmm.
So that all comes back to the person themselves. There are people out there that are selling those courses and they are amazing at what they teach. They're teaching you valuable information, but whether or not it works all depends on the person taking the
Yeah,
course.
the implementation of it,
Yeah.
really. Yeah. Okay. I was just curious. I love getting to ask you all of these questions because it's stuff that I get asked a lot, and it's things that, as I've been building my business, that I've learned over time. And I love that you have so much knowledge and expertise in these areas. Will you share a couple of success stories of your clients
Sure.
yeah.
Recently, I've the one of my clients that we were talking about earlier that had gone from the one-to-one to the one-to-many. She started when she started with us. She was just at I think about $80,000. This year, she'll close out at just over $500,000. We've been working together for about 2 years. So,
Nice.
um,
Yeah.
one of my other clients is closing out this year at $1 million. Actually, I think she closed out last month at $1 million. She had like last month was $220,000 sales month. And so like those are the big successes, right?
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
the golden nuggets. In reality, I have a lot of small clients too that come to me and they're still working on things. Like we start a process where they're working to that one-to-one to one-to-many, and it takes a little longer to figure out who their ideal client is, who their that process is as well. And that's always fun for me. I love it because I get to do what I call ideating, which is just coming up with ideas. I love to brainstorm and come up with new ways to do things and new ways to talk to people and making clear paths. I'm
Yeah.
really big about schedules and plans and strategies and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think the key there, what you're saying too, is the strategy piece. It's like to scale, you've got to have strategy. It's not
Absolutely.
just like throw dollars at the wall and hope something works and just, put up some random Facebook ads and hope that something happens. It's strategy.
Yeah, that's
And
the biggest thing. If you
yeah,
don't have a strategy in place, you are setting yourself up for failure.
yeah,
And it is perfectly okay to fail, right? Fail fast.
yeah,
Fail fast so you know what doesn't work so you can find out what does.
yeah.
But don't set it up for a repeated failure. That's just
Yes. Well, and I think this is a great spot to talk about like marketing mindset, because something I'm noticing is like, as you're, I don't, when I test something in marketing, I don't go, oh, it was a failure because it didn't work. I go, oh, I got so much information about what doesn't work, which is
Exactly.
actually not a failure. It's like,
Exactly.
cool. Now I know oh, this part of this ad worked. So I'm going to scale that piece. And then I'm going to add the next layer. And so I think sometimes people step into, like, say they hire you to work with you and they're like, expect immediate results. That's not how marketing works.
It is not. There's two pieces that I require before I work with anybody. They have to have a foundation in place. So we're talking about proof of concept. They have to have that foundation, and they have to have a commitment.
Yeah.
Because so many people want immediate gratification. It doesn't work in any area of your business. I'm telling you right now, it does not matter what you're talking about. Doesn't work in your health either. Like doesn't work in life. Immediate gratification is not a thing unless you're just eating an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
So you have to have the commitment level to do what it takes in order to make your marketing successful.
Yeah. I'm curious there because I hear a lot of people talking about how they've thrown marketing dollars, and I've done this too, where I've put money into marketing and I've been able to be more successful knowing nothing than the people that I paid. How can someone know what can they look for to hire the right person who's actually really going to help them scale their business?
Yeah, it's one of the things that's really important is to ask them for. It can be referrals, it can be testimonials, it can be, make sure that they have success in their business. I would so often I hear Facebook ads, but people say, well, ask to look at their clients, dashboard, the Facebook ads. The reality is sometimes that is not accurate. Like Facebook undercounts and overcounts things. So that's an issue, number one. But secondary to that is it depends on how they set it up. They may be tracking something that shows they have 100 million bazillion sales, but it's not actually a sale. It may be a lead. It may be a view. Like you don't know how they've set up the ad in order to know whether or not that dashboard information is accurate. So my best suggestion is really to make sure you are able to talk to current or past clients.
Okay, that's great. And then I would imagine, like, does it, you said earlier that you're marketing your business mostly to coaches, but then you work with some real estate and people and, because marketing is marketing, would you say that a person that you're hiring has to be in the same, focused on that industry or not?
They don't have to be. If you have a connection with somebody, like that's another thing, just like with any coach, you have to have that connection. You have to be able to talk to somebody and really understand what they're saying. So if you have that connection with them, they don't have to be. I will say, if you find someone who's specific in your industry, they have more knowledge. And sometimes that's more productive for you. So if you say you're a relatively new coach, you have your proof of concept, but you're ready to start bringing in more leads so that you can scale faster. Mm-hmm. If you come to someone who knows what the coaching industry is and you say, you tell them, well, my coaching is, $250, they're going to look at you and go, that's not enough. Like you're not going to be attracting the kind of clients you want at that price point. Yeah. So understanding, the industry itself, what standard processes are, what works and what doesn't work is incredibly helpful. It's not necessary. A marketer can find that information out regardless. Yeah. But it is more helpful and makes that process faster.
Okay. And great tips. Thank you so much. It's been so informative. Will you share, is there anything else that you would just say, this is like the key takeaway for, ideal client, Facebook ads, that type of thing? What's the gem of wisdom there?
So I have 2 points these are the 2 points that you have to have. You have to know your ideal client, inside out, upside down, and sell one thing. If you can focus on those 2 things, all of the other pieces will fall in place. But focus on those 2 things and you will make it so much easier for your ideal clients to hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Gold. Okay. Awesome. Will you share with listeners your top 3 max potential habits that you believe got you where you are today?
So consistency, right? And it's not just consistency in my own marketing, but it's also consistency in getting up and doing the thing, right? We all have those days where you're like, get up and push forward and do, take action. That's number two. Whenever you're stuck and floundering, do something. It can be something minor. Like, when I was starting to grow and scale, there were times where I would go on to Upwork and just apply. I never actually took jobs on there, but it was doing something. It was moving me forward and taking an action. And then the third thing is to find a coach. I will tell you, my business scaled a whole lot easier when I had the support behind me that could, someone that's done it before you, that can help pull you along so that you don't have to do this. You don't have to figure it out. They've done it. They can help you figure it out so you're not floundering.
So good. So good. Just want to give you lots of high fives for this episode. So many great tips that I can, everyone here listening, well, unless it's your first episode, maybe not, but I constantly share my journey and things that I've been through. And it's like, to scale my business as fast as I did, I've implemented exactly the things you're talking about. It's like, I look back retrospectively and I'm like, oh, wow, I could have gotten there even faster had I known those things. But one thing, I definitely hired a coach. I definitely was consistent and I definitely took daily action. It's just like, if you want to have a successful business, treat it like a business. How did McDonald's get where they are? They market. Still to this day, you still see McDonald's ads. Do they really need to? Probably not, because everyone knows who McDonald's is, but they still do. They're still getting new customers every day. It'd be funny if McDonald's had clients. But it's like, I look at what you do and I go to me, it is a critical element of scaling your business, and find somebody who knows what they're doing. So you're awesome. I will definitely be sending people your way. Will you share where people can find you?
Sure. You can find me at virtualmarketingexpert.com is my website, or Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitter's not so much, but Instagram. Okay. All of the social medias, you can contact us there and we're happy to chat.
Awesome. Okay. So virtualmarketingexpert.com. And when they come into your fold, do you do like a discovery call?
I generally do a 30-minute free discovery call, just, tapping into what it is they're looking for and, see if we're even a good fit to help them. Sometimes we are, sometimes we're not.
Okay. Wonderful. This has been so informative. Thank you so much. Really, really valuable tips for my audience. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everyone. I have the feeling that you're going to want to rewind this episode and listen to it again, especially if you're in those stages where you're wondering, how do I scale? How do I build? What do I do with marketing? I mean, knowing your ideal client, I think if that's your key takeaway for today, know your ideal client and remember to have one thing. I've had, it was the Terry Levine episode, and I don't remember the number at the moment, but she says same thing. One focus, one goal. One focus, one goal. So we have successful business owners like Jennifer, like myself, like Terry Levine, bringing these tips to you because we want you to get there faster. So focus on the one thing, know your ideal client, and get there as fast as you can. So you have the fastest path to cash, so you can be successful and know that you can just really make it as an entrepreneur. That's why I do this podcast, to bring you tips, tools, and strategies, inspirational interviews to help you know you're not alone, and to really give you actionable strategies that will help you grow faster so that you don't have to be stuck in the muck feeling like we're never going to get there. So that's what we want for you. Thanks for being here. I hope you have a max potential week where you thrive and feel alive. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Max Potential Habits podcast. If you're liking what you've heard, it would be so incredibly awesome if you would subscribe to the channel and leave a 5-star rating and a written review. This helps me help more people while we grow our NFA community so we can rock it out together. For Max Potential Habits resources, go to nfacoaching.com where you can access all of my resources. There's free ebooks, PDF checklists, a journal template, a business mindset meditation kit, and so much more. Plus, links to NFA coaching on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And if you're super serious about up-leveling, there's also a link to schedule a free consult to work with me in group or one-on-one coaching. Until next time, I hope you have a Max Potential Habits Day where you get inspired to do whatever it takes to transform into the most empowered version of yourself so you can lead a rich, thriving, kick-ass life and business.